Okay, this is Gwen. It's a beautiful Friday morning here in Michigan. And this is day 3 of Marisa Murgatroyd's 30-day video challenge. My video yesterday got cut a little bit unexpectedly short. My ride got here a little bit early, but turns out that unexpected shortcut left y'all with quite a bit of a cliffhanger. Yesterday I was talking about intuition and a big story, a huge story in my life where I followed my gut, where I followed my intuition, and it led me to something amazing, but also something really difficult too. The last 2 years have been a huge process of growth for me, and the vast majority of that growth has been inspired by my decision to follow my gut and start dating a 20-year-old and then marry him 5 months later. I was 32 when we started dating, 33 when we got married. That's right, there is a 13-year age difference between myself and my husband. And all logic, all reason said, don't date him, don't marry him, he's too young, he's not ready, blah, 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 blah. But my gut said yes. Yes, 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 yes. So I did it. And I guess that's what today's lesson is going to be, is that following our intuition is not always going to lead us down the easiest path, but it is going to lead us down the path that's going to bring us the most growth, the most improvement, the most lessons. My marriage has been anything but easy. We have struggled financially. We have struggled personality-wise. Our personalities clash at times. We have struggled with mental health issues. My husband has a long history of difficulty dealing with people, difficulty dealing with life. And that really, really came out after we got married. You hear all the traffic. I live on a somewhat busy street. But as difficult as our marriage has been, I don't regret any of it. Because before I took that chance, before I took that leap of faith, I guess you'd have it, and said, yes, I will date you, yes, I will marry you, and went through all of that. Before that, I was a hermit. And when I say I was a hermit, I mean I was living with who are now my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. And I actually had started living with them before I met my husband. That's how I met him, was living there. My son and I rented the upstairs from them, and I spent probably 20 out of 24 hours a day by myself in my room. I worked, I watched movies, I knit socks, and I read, but I was by myself. I was a hermit. I was isolated, and I liked it like that. I was comfortable with that. Can't really say I was necessarily happy, but I was okay. I was comfortable with that. And I'd venture out a little bit. They'd have bonfires and parties on the weekends, and I'd go out and I'd sit out for maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and then I'd be right back to my room. And that was my life. That's how I lived. And then one night I'm sitting out at a party, and Jeremy was there, and he'd been around here and there before. We'd talked. He'd smile every time he came over. He'd make it a point to say, hi, Gwen, how are you doing? And one thing led to another, and we found ourselves in my room. Won't go any further than that. I'll just leave it at that. 2 days later, we were dating. 5 months later, we were married. And I was no longer hiding in my room. Wasn't really able to, because Jeremy is a very sociable person. He's got a lot of friends. He likes to be out. He likes to interact. And he wanted me right there with him all the time, and I loved being with him all the time, so I was. And at first it was really, really uncomfortable for me, because I wasn't used to being around a lot of people. I was the kind of person who was quite content sitting in my room for 20 hours a day. I'd go out to eat, I'd go out to go to the store, I'd go out to go to the bathroom and take a shower, but other than that, I'd go back to my room, and I was content with that. And suddenly I was finding this whole new world where there were people who cared, and people who wanted to interact, and people who wanted me around. They liked my craziness. They loved the weenie dance. Yes, my nickname is Weenie, thanks to my wonderful sister-in-law. And I'm quirky, and I'm spontaneous, and I'm strange, and I'm weird, and I dance at spontaneous moments. But people never really got to see that all that much because I hid myself away. And this spontaneous drive to follow my gut, to follow my intuition, against all logic and reason, to date and marry this 20-year-old man who is now 22, brought me out of that shell and opened up this whole wide world for me. And it's been an amazing experience that has balanced out the negative parts of the marriage, I guess you would say. And none of that would have ever happened if I hadn't listened to my gut. And I wouldn't even change the negative parts of our marriage, to be honest. The difficulties, the struggles, the fights, the arguments, the dealing with his bipolar disorder and the various other issues that he has, I wouldn't change any of that because every bit of it taught me something. Some of it's taught me what I don't like. Some of it's taught me who I don't want to be. Some of it's taught me what I do like and what I do want to be. And I never would have learned any of it. I never would have experienced any of it if I hadn't listened to my gut. So I guess what I'm trying to say is listening to our intuition is not always going to lead to the brightest, most wonderful path. What it is going to lead to us, the path that creates the most amount of growth for us, the most amount of possibilities. I would not be here ready to do what I'm ready to do, which is help other people learn how to listen to their gut and tap into their intuition. Without all of that growth, without all of that pain and sorrow and joy and happiness. And I'm going to tell you, even right now, my marriage is on the rocks. We love each other, deeply, deeply love each other. We go crazy when we're not together, but we also kind of go crazy when we are together. And he's in another state now. He's working on trying to find a job and trying to get himself together. And I'm here working on trying to get myself together so that we can be happy with ourselves, so that we can come back together and we can talk and we can say, hey, yes, let's fix this marriage. Let's make this the wonderful marriage we know it can be. Or maybe say, you know what? Let's just move on with our lives. Right now, my gut is telling me to just hold. Don't go one way or the other. Don't say, oh my God, we have to get a divorce because we're so far apart it's never going to work. And don't say, oh, we have to fight for this marriage, because we have to fight for ourselves first. And that's what my gut's telling me right now. So I'm going to listen to my gut. And it's not easy. It's not. My heart wants to go to Indiana with him right now, but I can't. My son is still here in Michigan until July 13th, and I'm not going to leave my son. He doesn't move to live with his dad until July 13th is when he flies out, so I'm not leaving yet for that reason. I also have a really good job that pays well. Lots of hours, lots of stuff to do. It challenges me and it provides me opportunities and teaches me new things and new interactions. So I can't go right now when my gut tells me to stay, even though my heart wants to be down there. So I'm listening to my gut.